Wait, hold on. Give me a second. 1 second. Okay, the audio sound 95 is in the 90s, so it's looking good. Ugh, man. I don't know why. It's just not good. Keeping up with this is just taking up so much time in my life. Goodness. No, it's not. It's not that bad. Not that bad. Just trying to keep pace is just difficult. Um, and I just don't feel the greatest. I was trying to play Time Splitters 2 earlier today, and goodness gracious, the low FOV and like in the fast movement just made me feel straight up awful for the entire day. It was nauseating, but here I am once again. And how I spent the most of my day, uh, I decided to give the subscription thing one more try because, surprise, surprise, I've been getting count 'em, one email per day so far for people just signing up to read the single reading the single, what do they call it? Single issue comics for free. And that's pretty cool. I feel like I probably could have done that in a way, but honestly, it's pretty much better when I do the whole subscription, whole Patreon esque route. But during yeah, going through the Patreon esque route. But I've been thinking a lot. I've been playing. Well, I finished playing Shin Megami Tensei 4, and I've been that's been capturing the ire of my attention for the past couple of weeks. And after playing the game, I like listening to other people's opinions on it. And I've got the law route, and I really didn't like it for reasons not that is not obvious. You would think I would like it for a specific reason, but for the most obvious reasons. But I don't feel like getting into that, thinking about that. Um, what I'd rather be talking about is it got me into the idea or thinking about free will again, and I thought it was very interesting of the whole narrative or the demons in the game saying that if you or in just general Shin Megami Tensei games when they say if you side with the angels or side with law or God, you forfeit your free will onto him. But when you actually think, when you get, when you realize that free will isn't something that is synonymous with choosing your own means of self-destruction, is choosing self-destruction over than law, over than the good of yourself or the greater good. You realize that I realize that free will is beyond choosing left or right. I believe free will is a combination of understanding that you do have choice is the understanding that there is that left and right or up and down, and you have the will to analyze the repercussions of each decision. That is free. That I feel like we have been psyoped into believing left or right, or law or chaos, or just choosing or like how Shimigami Tensei phrased it, just choosing straight up chaos is freedom. Choosing destruction is freedom. Rebelling is freedom. Like, no, rebelling isn't freedom. Rebelling isn't more of a freedom than complacency or compliance, because it's still a choice, right? The fact that you have a choice, not that you have a choice, the fact that you recognize choices is an exercising of freedom. And when you realize the repercussions of each choice, you are using your will to think. You are free to you are free to see, and you have the will to think. That is your free will. And I don't know how it where we got to the idea of free will being you choose left or right, and then we have the idea of the illusion of free will, or the illusion of choice, because there's no such thing as an illusion of choice. You still have those choices. There is no illusions. And the outcome is. Oh, wait, I don't think you guys saw that. The outcome kind of doesn't matter. It doesn't. The outcomes don't matter in the sense of, or if you're able to analyze that outcomes or what comes from those outcomes. I don't know where we got to the idea where you only have free will if and only if you think, and if and only if you choose one or the other. And I think that comes into the pitfalls. It goes into the pitfalls of why people feel like they don't have free will, because you are a product. You are a product of your environment. You are a product of. You are natured. You are a part of your nature and the outcome of your nurture. But what nobody can really, that's something that nobody can really take away from you. That's something, that those are circumstances that you have no control over. But what you do have control over is understanding your environment and analyzing your environment, and taking what you have, taking, like, being able to take what you have, and you might not have everything, but that doesn't matter if you have what everything 100%. What matters is being able to contemplate what you have, whether it be one, two, five, or more. And even if you have none, you still have the ability, you still have the will to analyze your situation with the path that you have going forward, the single path that you have going forward, or no path, and how you can form one or formulate one or realize how you got to the place that you are. Like, let me read. Oh yeah. And like all, it's funny how all that spawned from silly little Japanese game. about trying to explain or trying to convince the audience that good and bad, well, not good and bad, law and chaos are two sides of the same coin. And I'm like, they're kind of not though. Like, they're two sides of the same coin. Epic based centricity, epic based epic centrism, and I'm like, no, they're not really. Law will always be better than chaos. Sorry, it is. I don't make the rules. I just use my free will to analyze what is the best, like to analyze the situation and understand what is the best course for everybody. And it's so funny, and it really helped me. And I really love that franchise. I really love the endings and how it tries to say that having a world full of law is a world that deprives people from their individuality. And I just laugh so hard at that because it feels like it comes from that idea where people think what makes them individuals are their ways that they sin. Their sins are what makes them individuals instead of how they can use their talents to glorify God, right? Because if you look like far enough, you realize that everybody kind of shares the same degenerate. Everybody shares the same degeneracy for one in one way or another, right? And the thing about degeneracy is like it doesn't grow. It doesn't grow and doesn't cultivate something that is lasting. It doesn't cultivate anything that goes beyond them. But it is working towards something that is greater, working towards something that is the eternal. That is what brings out the real individual. That brings out the real talent, the real understanding of one's purpose of this earth. And it's really funny how I would play the game and see those outcomes and realize how wrong it get how wrong the game gets the absolute beauty of order. And even when it tries its best to show these outcomes as neutral as possible. I felt like saying it. I felt like having writing a Substack or just finding an outlet to say something like that. So I felt like it would be good enough to hop on a stream where no one's going to join and I speak into the ether, so I will not be judged by other people being wrong or right, depending on if they agree with me. I think it would. I think where that idea comes from. I think the idea comes from an understanding that every idea comes from someplace. Nobody has forms their own ideas in a vacuum, And if you don't have an idea, if you don't know where your ideas come from, and or if you think you came up with your own ideas, that's a very dangerous. That's a very dangerous position. I think you have to be a fool to believe that you have. I think you have to be a fool to believe that you have original ideas. I think genius comes from synthesizing them, like having the time to synthesize those thoughts to make have a worldview or an idea that makes sense. That synthesizes everything that you've known, that you know, and that you've experienced. I'll do it. Oh, I'll make it like that. I don't even know how the bones would work over here. Kind of blows, honestly. Is oh wait, his face is a little bit like yeah. Now it looks more like Ale. His, his head is a little bit bulkier. But I that's the one thing. Like I think like half of the second book of Purgatory Academy was talking about free will, and I probably have to read it again because like I recently came up with that. I came up. I recently came to that realization that will that free will happens before before you make a choice because it's not about choice, it's about consciousness. Free will is not about the exercise of choice, it's about the exercise of consciousness. The only time you don't have will, your free will, is when you're not alive. And I think that's why that's why it's like the conversation of free will and how people feel like it's just been an ongoing debate for so long has been such an annoying thing. And it really I think it also comes from learning about propaganda. I think after I think I was watching a documentary. It was called oh shoot, The Generation of Self, and also reading books like Propaganda, right? And and like just knowing general ideas about psychology. Where the real magic of those kinds of ideas and propaganda and marketing and all that stuff, it doesn't come from like what was it? It doesn't come from free will. Doesn't come from the choices that you make. It comes from knowing that you are alive and knowing that your actions have consequences. It happens way before you make a decision. And that's something you can't see under a microscope. That's something you can't know scientifically. And I know free will is more of like a philosophical question. And it's so funny the fact that people question about free will. That's an exercise of free will because people follow the preconceived applications of what it probably is. You know what I mean? Of is it real or is it fake? Do we have it or do we not? What is even the applications of it? I think it's been weird. People have a weird had a weird hang up for it for a long time because they're using terms that they don't really know. Yeah, it'd be like that though. I think I'll stream for another 20 minutes. Not 20 minutes. Another 10 minutes. Call it a stream. Hey, this feels a little bit better. The line art's pretty thin though. Oh wait, let me just draw this again. That's why it feels so off. I used the wrong brush. I was like, why is this too clean? Why doesn't this brush make me feel like I can make mistakes? It doesn't make me feel like I can make mistakes. I'm allowed to make mistakes. This is good. I like drawing these characters as if they're over it. They're over everything. But this is real philosophical conversations with the boys. Yeah, but that's how it is. I just kind of wish that actually never mind. I don't wish I feel like the time of my suffering will soon well, I will always suffer. I will always suffer as soon as I live. But I feel like I'm getting closer and closer to the answers of my problems. I do believe that things are looking up very soon. I mean, they're looking up right now. They will be better. What I mean by that is I finally got I feel like I might be getting an email sign up every day through running ads, and that's just awesome so far. So that's a win. I'll count that as a win. It's not where I want to be right now, but it's I'm taking the steps forward to get to where I want to be. And I think I like the idea of doing the subscription thing. Gosh, did I mess up? Where why is this one so gee? I'll have that as a different. I do like this panel a lot. But yeah, yes, that's the end of my conversation of like deep philosophical thought. It would be a lot longer, but if I had people to bounce ideas off of, but I think my opinion is the most correct opinion until somebody says otherwise. And maybe my that opinion could be hard to disprove because it doesn't open itself up for disagreement. Maybe that's why it feels pretty ironclad. I am kind of back and forth in including these veins. I think I'll add them. I think I'll have them. They're pretty good addition. Okay, this the line art in this page looks fine. I think what I'm doing with the ads are pretty good right now. Because before I would have these different promotions of free for a limited time, $2 for a limited time, 24 X, Y, and Z. But now I'm settled on having everything on tiers. Yeah. We Let me figure this out real quick. The yeah, that a head would be over here. The neck would be over here. Another head here. I think a foot would be over here. I think he would be like her body would be over here. Because I want like he's clearly like winding up in this panel. Like there's a conversation happening. Da 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 da. Da. So since he's like, so that means a foot needs to be over here, and another foot probably planted over here. Like the funny thing about these like action stuff is that I'm not really going off of. I'm mostly going off of vibes. And like what feels cool. The rule of cool. It really doesn't matter. Like I think it's like the Todd McFarlane how Todd McFarlane draws Spider-Man, of how he draws him in like such cool poses. He just has a lot of landmarks. Okay. I don't even try to draw the arm. Kind of wanted a sweep, kind of like an uppercut, like this. So it'd be like a C. So this would be the chest here, and probably a large part of the body would be covered by this trail. I'm getting the idea, the inspiration of like these trail punches and kicks from the Baki, from like what I saw from the Baki manga. Like that's how they display. That's how the manga displays like swift movements, like punches and kicks. And it's like the head would be like around here, like the nostril. Something like that. LMI, what's going on? Maybe not even focus on that. Uh, body's over here. I should also try to focus on the twist here. Pelvis would be like probably over here. Maybe I should move the feet inward like this. Make it smaller. Actually, priority change. Foreground first. I found an audiobook website, submitted a current draft. Wait, I found an audiobook website, submitted a current draft of my story, some contests. Hey, that's pretty cool. Congratulations on submitting it, finishing it, and then submitting it. Actually, the and this one needs to be like in the foreground, like this. There we go. Now I'm seeing it. I just love these like crazy perspective shots, and I think with this one, I'll show is like his hand. How have you been? I've been doing okay. I've been just binge. I just been binge playing Shin Megami Tensei 4, and it got me thinking about the concept of free will and such, and like how much I just despised the law ending. Because in like those in those kinds of games, they give you like they give you four different kinds of endings, and I got the law ending because I wanted to follow the will of God, and I thought the idea of the ending of the law end the idea of the law ending was just not good. Not that it's like oh man, it's not the objectively right position to do. I just thought the outcome was just not good. Period. Not a good idea, and just not really of the characteristics of God, which is like really funny. And when you're playing the game it feels like the game wants to play with the idea of free will being rebellion, being synonymous with rebellion, and I just had to sigh and roll my eyes several times. Because and it kind of got me to a realization that free will occurs way before you make a decision. Free will is realizing that you do have choices, like will you have the freedom to analyze to realize your choices, and then the will to analyze the effect of those choices. Like that is free will enacted in practice. And it's funny when people talk about free will, it's either one or the other. Where I propose free will is it happens before that. So I spent the entire first half hour of the stream thinking about it out loud. I think the feet needs to be a little bit smaller. Japan tends to be fearful of religion. They're always they're okay with Shinto and Buddhism if it's a cultural thing, not if it's fully uh not not if you're fully committed to it. Yeah, and like while I was playing the game, funny like ironic not ironically, but sometimes when it wants to talk about things of law or things of God, you just kind of have to roll your eyes and then be like, "Oh yeah, it's a Japanese person writing this." You know what I mean? It's like, of course, a Japanese person would say this. You know what I mean? Was like, wow, your based centricism is showing, and it's also not really just a Japanese thing, but it's also a Western thing. Oh, the whole what is free will thing, and it just when I listen to people's ideas of the game, because like a lot of people were what I listen to, I assume they're just not really they don't really think about they think about the concepts that is just given to them and not what those ideas represent. Can't find the I can't find the right word to explain it. The arm here, no, no, no. Pelvis be right here. And then like there's a twist right here. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out. Actually, no, I gotta do it over here. Let's got the shape of the feet. I just didn't like. Okay, so yeah, I thought the game was very interesting, but I just didn't like the flanderization of the will of God for a for its own purpose of trying to say law and chaos are two sides of the same coin, which I'm like, no, it's not. It goes hard when you don't think about it. It's just an idea that people want to. It's just something that people want to propose in order to think centrism is the true enlightenment. It really goes hard if you don't want to choose. And the game's most feel good ending is the centrist route, because the if you choose the will, if you choose the law route, it just leads to genocide. Which I'm like, yeah, sure, the Bible isn't stranger, yin and yang, yeah, yin and yang, yeah, but like the Bible's not a stranger to genocide, to like absolute genocide. Sure, but it's really funny how people conveniently leaves out every part of the Bible where God communicates with his creation and bargains for uh not really bargains, but I think about the story of Sodom and Gomorrah, not yeah, story of Sodom and Gomorrah, where God told the prophet he was talking to that he wouldn't burn the city down if he could, if the prophet could find one good person. At first God was like, you, if you find me like 100 good people, then I won't burn the city down. And the guy that the guy was God was talking to, I was like, I'll do it for 50. And then he was like, all right, 50. And he was like 25. I was like, all right, less. The whole point was that he was bargaining down on he was bargaining down on like if he finds one good person in Sodom and Gomorrah, he wouldn't burn it down, but he couldn't find a single one. In another instance, I would say like the story of Jonah, the prophet that doesn't want to be a prophet, but so like to the point that every time he tries to not do what told him to do, was to go to, I believe it was Nineveh, and tell them to repent. The kingdom of God is at hand, and he calls for all of them to repent. Like Jonah didn't want to do that, so every time he tried to go, he gave them hundreds of years before to change before punishment. That too, and he yeah, okay, oh, yeah, that also leads me to the concept of the Book of Judges, where first things first, God doesn't want the nation of Israel to have the king, but He gave them a king, because God was like, okay, I will give you a king because you guys want it. You don't need a king, but I'll give you one because you guys asked for it. Specifically because the children of Israel, they asked for a king, and that also leads me to the thought of the Book of Judges, where the Israelites are blessed of one leader after another. Like some leaders, they would be blessed with prosperity, but with that prosperity, they just forgot about the needs of God. They forgot about the character of God, and that led them to despair. And when they got into despair, they realized, oh man, we actually need our God again, and that leads them to prosperity. And it's just a cycle of that time and time again. You know what I mean? Like it's so funny how SMT4 just completely forgets of God giving people grace, God giving His creation grace, and at the end of the game, he says the only chance to save Tokyo is is complete annihilation, burn it all down, black hole, and I'm like, nah. The only other time where that happened was like the flood, when he flooded the entire world. But even then, God called like one person with his wife, you know, to get like every animal before he does it, and like get like two of every animal before he just press reset. You know what I mean? Like God always chooses like you know like like one or two people to restart. You know what I mean? He doesn't like burn everything down completely. You know what I mean? It's so funny. And, I just thought that idea, that Flanderization of Yahweh, of just saying he is a cold, heartless, calculated, not calculated, he's a cold, heartless tyrant. And I'm like, dude, really, 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 really. Those people were warped. They just did not listen. Exactly. Exactly. I think a better law ending of SMT4 would be like the people of Mikado, the people of Mikado. They would Mikado is just a place where the main character comes from before he descends to Tokyo. A better ending would be the people of Mikado. They invade Tokyo and cast all the demons out of Tokyo, and claim Tokyo as another kingdom of God. That would make a lot more sense. That would make a lot more sense, and it would be way more. Uh, it would to me, it would feel way more true to the character of Yahweh. Completely burning it down, it's like it's not out of the question. Oh yeah, and like not only that, like there were people inside the main story that wanted to immigrate from want to immigrate from Tokyo to Mikado, and the angel that was about to nuke that wants to nuke Tokyo, he was like, no, everybody in Tokyo is they're damned, they're filthy, they're not allowed to enter Mikado, and I'm like, that's stupid. Like that, like that's not that doesn't feel right. That doesn't sound like the patterns aren't there. It doesn't fit the pattern. And I know everybody who plays it don't analyze the Old Testament like that. They're not Christians. They're not really into it like that, or they don't think about it like that. Unfortunately, I am. I'm unfortunately like that. So when I see stuff like that, I'm like, yo, this is stupid. This is like, these patterns are not like these patterns are new. These patterns are different. Like, you can't really call it a law route, and you have these archangels following the will of God, and like what they're doing just doesn't sound like God. You know what I mean? To basically criticize a straw man of God, of Yahweh. And like I would go with the law route time and time and time and time and time again. You know what I'm saying? Because to not do that is just, come on now. Are you serious? Are we serious right now? Of course, I'm gonna do the law route every single gosh darn time. And I decided to, like, the way that the game just wanted to. One thing, the game just want you to go with the neutral ending, and the neutral ending just felt blasphemous at the same time. Being like, no, there's another way. God, like, it's like, no, God's way is not the right way. There's another way, and I'm like, come on now, come on now, come on now, come on now. But that's what happens. That's what happens when the culture just just doesn't really care about. They are really in depth with the source material. They are really in depth with the source material, but they kind of they lackluster when it comes to um the characterization of God, of Yahweh. And that's why it got and that's wait, hold up. And that's why oh no, it's just Cash App. And that's why I believe free will starts before you make a choice. Because all the demons in the SMT say that you have no free will. If you choose with God, you have no free will. And it's also, I saw that in the comments. I saw that in the comment section of people talking about the endings, and they said if you choose the light, everybody felt like if you chose the Law Order, the people of Mikado or the people are stripped away from their individuality or stripped from their free will. And I'm like, what do you mean stripped from their individuality? That just sounds like to me people think their individuality comes from their capability to sin. Their individuality, it comes from what flavor of degeneracy suits them the best. And that is so cucked. I can't find a better way for it to explain it off the cuff, but it just sounds super pathetic. And it just sounds like people who don't know their talents. They don't know their talent. Okay, they just don't even know their talents. They don't know what gifts God have given them. you know, and it's just so pathetic to hear. Like, there's no way that someone can make a law ending sound bad. And I wanted to try the next game, Strange Journey. And I spoiled myself on the ending just because I wanted to know if I would get in myself in if I would to get myself into another instance where I wouldn't like the law ending. And it seems like Strange Journey did a better job of the law ending, mostly on the Redux, on the 3DS, because on the original ending on the DS, it's another one of those people who give their will unto God. They forfeit their individuality, and I'm like, gay. That's so gay and stupid and lame and retarded. Like, oh my gosh. And I think what helps me think about individuality, what's what helped me come to that conclusion, is watching a documentary called The Generation of Self, and the book Propaganda, where the core idea of marketing, it just goes all also back into marketing and psychology, where even the concept of democracy is formed by people that you have never known. Your ideas come from people that you have never met in your entire life, right? And that just comes from the core of civilization and the core of civilization, right? So to think that free will starts and end of left decision or right decision, uh, that that is intellectually cucked. That is intellectually stunted. The real when And I think people are so caught up with left decision, right decision, that is free will. It makes people feel like it's an illusion. You know what I mean? Coke or Pepsi is an illusion of choice. You know what I mean? And it's not really for the obvious reason for not for the obvious reasons. It's still a choice because you see those choices because the choices are there. You can see it. And you can that's the free. You know that you are aware of those choices. And the will is to conceptualize, visualize, or analyze the effects of those decisions. That is the freedom, and that is the freedom, and that is the will. It's not a exercise of choice, it's an exercise of consciousness. And that's something that you cannot deny. That's something that you cannot forgo. That's something that you cannot deny unless you die, unless you're dead. The only time where you don't have free will is when you don't have consciousness. And even when you think those choices are, well, you think your thoughts are yours, which your thoughts are not yours, right? Your thoughts come from something else. And what you think is an original thought is a synthesis of other thoughts that you have that comes through your mind. It's a synthesis to square the circles, to make sense of contradictions, of seemingly contradictory thoughts. I think that's also why the brain makes up fake memories. Um, because the brain likes patterns. The brain likes things that make sense. The brain's like predictability, and that to the point that the brain will form false memories to make things make sense. That's what, yeah, to make things make sense. Wait, what am I doing? So yeah, at the end of the day, law and chaos, they are not two sides of the same coin. Law will always beat chaos. And also the game frames the chaos route. It is law. It's not freedom. Chaos is not freedom. It's just constant. It's literally just the hands of power constantly changing. Instead of one person having the hand of power for a set amount of time, it's just the hands of power being constantly shifted forever. Like power doesn't go away. It's like that Megamind quote. It's like chaos is not safety. Chaos is not safety. Chaos is not a chaos is just a shift of power. That's what I'm trying to say. A constantly shift of power. And it's just a worse form of order. So yeah. So that's my opinion of a game that I never streamed and you probably never played or care of playing. But honestly, I'm glad that I played it. That's kind of the reason why I like just indulging in stories. I know people say fiction is good. Read fiction. I can't read fiction. I can't read books. Video games are my favorite form of like indulging in fiction stories or fiction narratives. Way better than books. It sounds very Japanese. Yeah, and that's like another thing that I can't really fault the game too much because I'm like it's just Japanese to its core. And like the whole thing about Buddhism is I wouldn't even say it's Buddhism. It's just like the whole Japanese philosophy of life. And it's so funny like what they long for, what you know, like why Christianity is so universal is because the answer that God provides is what everybody longs for. And the reason why the Japanese just don't accept Christianity is solely because it's just not in their history. Like I remember like listening to a bunch of videos of the history of Christianity in Japan, and that's usually where it comes down to. The Japanese just culturally don't want to be Christian. They like Western things. They like how Christianity is Western, but they don't want to be Christian because it's just not in their history. Buddhism and Shintoism and like Buddhism and Shinto it's just been in their has been in their blood. They've been in the game way longer than Christianity. And like every time Christianity tried to like show up, it's just been suppressed by the leaders. And now when like we now they're in the area now they're in a place where the I believe it was like a number of like Japanese leaders are Christian. They're just kind of hush hush about it. They're like it's they're not gonna they're not gonna run with it. They're not gonna run with it because like it's just still Christianity is just still just a Western thing. It's not Japanese. It's kind of like that. Come on, how do I do that? How does that look? How's that look? Well, oh, oh. Okay, okay. Like I'm thinking about foreshortening. It'd be like that. Okay. Well, what would I do it like this? What if I do it like that? Like he's ready for like a 1-2, like a 1-2 punch. Oh, that looks cool. I think that looks better. I wonder why I was like that was looking so weird. But I love being able to like play a game like that, like SMT. I think that's like the best thing about it is that it doesn't really try to beat you over the head with one ideology. Like I like games that do that, but at least having some sort of self-awareness with what they're trying to do. Maybe I'm giving lip service to something like that because like there's a lot of games that's like, hey, there's wait, what was the last game where I'm trying to remember the last game I played. Oh yeah, Detroit Become Human, obviously. Even with Detroit Become Human, I was making all of the quote unquote wrong decisions, but I still liked it because it allowed me to make those decisions. It reacted to what I was doing and giving me its opinion of what it's. Well, it wasn't giving me what yeah it reacted to what I was doing, and I think that's like the best thing that I want. I think there was like a documentary of video of like game design that like Valve made where the point was the whole thing that makes games so special as a medium is the appealing to the narcissism of the player. Like a game is fun when it interacts with your inputs. And that's what the game well, that's what SMT did. Yeah, that's what it does. Uh I am not. I am not muscular, unfortunately. This is such a cool shot. And it's very I know when I'm like around my friends and I talk about guys, this is like what I've been playing right now. Like it's something that if I like something, it's something that I won't shut up about. You know what I mean? But I think I'm on like I'm getting off of the SMT4 high. right now because like after playing the game, after analyzing my thoughts on its philosophy, I kind of want to play Nocturne because of it's like more of that. I think I'll play Nocturne after I play Strange Journey because Strange Journey is like more of that. I might give Devil Survivor another try. Like, not only that the stories are great, but just great mechanics all around. I'm an SMT guy. Born to play SMT, forced to play Persona. That's just to me. That kind of reminds me of a conversation I had with my cousin. That's a conversation I had with my cousin. And I remember I said I absolutely hate Christian media, and to further explain it, I just hate Christian productions and Christian media because I believe that Christians shouldn't ghettoize the content that they make. Like they shouldn't label their stuff as Christian. It's just what they make should be an exploration of what they believe. That's kind of why I don't. That's a I feel like subconsciously that's why I don't label myself Christian because it's what I believe and I write what I believe. Therefore, every like what I want to make, I want to glorify God in like what I do. And it's and when you see like Christian media, it just like every time I see like Bible when people make Christian media, I'm not knocking anybody, but when people just put like Bible verses everywhere, I'm like, dude, like I'm like everybody's illiterate. What does that even mean? Like everybody can read John 3:16, but there's like look at how many denominations of Christianity there are. You know what I mean? Yeah, of course. Like everybody can read, but nobody can understand. Just because they can read doesn't mean they can understand what it says or what it means. And I feel like that's like the strongest case for Orthodoxy or Catholicism. Let's see. How do I do that? Well. The fist is kind of like this. I thought I could do something cool, adding more angles to it. But I'm not that interesting. I'm not that well versed in the anatomy. But I'm not gonna lie. I am a pleb. Because like when I booted up Strange Journey, I heard as soon as I heard Japanese, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have to read. I'm like, I don't want to read. Uh, that's just me. People saying like the dub of SMT 4 was bad, and I'm like, I mean, I was doing other things. Well, when I was like, oh, cool cutscene, I'm gonna do something else. But now I'm like, ah, oh, man, dude, what? I gotta read. I can't. I don't understand Japanese. I don't feel like busting out Duolingo just so I can listen to the cutscenes of Strange Journey. Hey, I think this is cool. I think this is cool so far. How do I gotta find a way to add speed lines to this. Make it look like it's approaching. How do I do that? Something like that. Maybe. I'm the opposite. I find most dubs cringy, so I'd rather have the Japanese on or just mute and read. I know. I like this. I like the dubs because I'm lazy. Like I understand that the inflections in the original Japanese lines will be superior, right? The emotion, like even though you don't know what they're saying, but the emotion carries. It's in the soul. It's in the cadences. It's in it's in the soul. It's in the soul. I understand. I agree. I'm just lazy. It's it's the weakness of the flesh. Like I'm not gonna debate that it's like better, right? I'm just lazy. I might have to draw. I might have to do a ruler. I think it needs to be tilted a little bit up. I freaking love how Baki illustrates the just large sweeping motions. It's so great. It's like every punch is like a comet, like a comet hurtling from space, just from orbit, just like what, just coming around at you like boom. It's such a great display of motion. But hopefully, I'll find other stories, other games with cool, awesome stories that will influence me in future, in creating future stories. That I'll hopefully implement. Yeah, that I'll hopefully implement in future stories. Let's see, armor's right here. It's getting messed up. And like going back to the conversation, free will, and I was thinking about it because about my the second book of Purgatory Academy, and thinking if what what I thought back then kind of correlates to what I think right now. And honestly, I don't really explain my answer because I don't think I had an answer. And I believe if I remember what my answer was, it was something along the lines of just because you don't think you have a decision doesn't mean just because you don't think you have a decision doesn't mean you don't have one. Which is fine, which goes with the main ethos of the School of Beelzebub. I think I think that's what if I were to make like more Purgatory Academies, I would classify this series of Purgatory Academies as I would label this under like the School of Beelzebub series because the whole school of thought of Beelzebub would be like you have a choice. There is no fence setting. So it doesn't really go against about what I say, but like what I have right now is more of a definitive answer of it's a free will is a conscious issue, not a it's an issue of consciousness. Well, free will is an expression of consciousness and not an expression of choice. Actually, no. He's like caught in the center. He's too slow to react. He just has to eat it. He couldn't defend himself. Sorry, man. You just gotta have to take that L. Bam. Cut off what's not gonna be seen. Bam. Bam. I wonder what I'm still thinking about what to do with my Substack because no matter how hard I try, I really can't get people to migrate over because migration is just a difficult thing to do. Like I don't think I'll get rid of it. I just have to like figure out what to do with it because I do want to focus on the subscription thing that I have going on with PayHip, which is kind of not a I feel like PayHip. PayHip is not really a stable thing, but I just got to figure out how to get like a monetization thing going. Might keep the I might keep the yeah, there we go. That oh man, ever since my I've been gifted a an AY and Thor. My backlog. I just been playing games I never thought I would play before. Like just 3DS games in general. Like the 3DS have just been a library of games. That's just been in my blind spot because I man I'll never forgive Nintendo for the DSi. If they never brought out the DSi, I probably would have had a 3DS and grew up with it. No lie. Because I remember I was begging my mom to get like a DSi, and when I got it, the 3DS came out, and I just didn't care. I just didn't care, dude. I tried so hard to get. And I'm like, like the 3DS came out the next year, and I'm like, Mom, can you give me a 3DS? She's like, I got you a DSi. Like, no, I'm not gonna get you a DSi. I'm like, I get it, fair. Never forgive Nintendo. They dropped the ball so bad. But yeah, they're just winning. Now they're just straight up winning. They cultivated an audience who will just like pay for literally anything. Think they cannot do any wrong. They achieved what they've long been waiting for. Absolute cult like status. The gaming medium is dead forever. I had a Game Boy Advance SP. My sis had a DS. Like I've been playing some Game Boy Advance games. There's some pretty good ones. There's like the Game Boy Advance. Just hearing the story between the evolution of the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance, it's just really interesting. Like the Advance and the DS just had really bomb libraries, just really good libraries of games. The DSi just included shovelware. It was just a better DS. It just had better hardware, a slightly better hardware, where it made some games run at 60 FPS, like Solo to Robo, which I need to finish. Built by DLC and microtransactions. DLC DRM microtransactions. DS. I don't remember DSi games having DLC. But it would make sense because they did have the eShop. They did introduce the eShop DSi. I'm gonna add a vein to it. Move this up. The gaming industry as a whole. Wait, the gaming industry as a whole around 2010s. Oh, you mean like the gaming industry has died around the 2010s? Oh yeah, yeah. Like nothing's been good in gaming, and especially in the 2020s. I understand. And sadly enough, I really can't. I really don't like if somebody like every time I would come across people who say gaming is alive, gaming is great in the year 2020, and they just talk about the modern titles, and I'm like, dude, dude, you're talking to a completely different audience. You're talking because like every time I would see a video that tries to be optimistic about how gaming isn't dead, it's coming from somebody who just has very bad taste. I can't find a better way to put it. They stopped demanding more. It's from people that just stopped demanding more or better from companies. And they put indie stuff on a pedestal for some reason, where the majority of indie stuff is just people making just remaking what's already worked from the golden era of gaming. You know what I mean? It's like the modern era sucks, and indie is just a rehash of the golden era. And when it's not being a rehash of the golden era, it's just how would I put this? It's like I'd rather just play the golden era, you know? Because at the golden era, they most of the time they got it right. They had the resources to get it right. And plus, I'm not playing the same game again. Honestly, I might keep this. I might keep this sketch of him just being decked. I like how visceral it is. It's so funny how I was making when I was writing this, I was watching a lot of Baki and Kengan Ashura, and now I sometimes watch UFC fights, and I get the feeling of MMA. I get the feeling of like how cool just combat sports is, or just how visceral it can be, or how it can look like. Yeah, I'm keeping that. That sketch is pretty good. Wait, that's his right hand. This is his left hand. Let me just flip this. There we go. It kind of reminds me. It kind of reminded me of what I watched a few watch a review of an old kids game by some guy. He said that the game shows how much the current. Wait. Let me read that. Oh shit. Let me read that again. Whoa, infinite loop. Whoa. Oh, this loop is infinite, bro. Okay, let me read that again. It kind of reminded me of what I watched. Reminded me that I watched a review of an old kids game by some guy, and he said that the game shows how much the current game industry sucked. That's that's pretty much it. Yeah, yeah. That's because when back the industry back then, it was made by people who knew what they were doing. Like that was their lives day in and day out, and that's not. Plus, it wasn't their first or second or third project. It was an amalgamation of like talented five people, like 5 to 7 people, 10 even or more, making kids games. And they were good, good at it. The creators, despite having a limited time and budget, put all the effort that would have been made have been put into DLC, creating fun games for kids that did not hold your hand or talk down to the audience. Yeah, it wasn't passion projects of like one dude, like the way things are today, trying to recreate the feeling of to recreate the feeling of being a kid, making a game for other adults, trying to recreate the feeling of being the kid. Like like the weird the whole intention behind it is so weird too. Because back then, what made it so good is that it was made by adults who are really good at game design and maybe not storytelling, but at game design, making something that they knew that was for kids. Now you have adults who want to make things for other adults so they can feel like kids. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are we doing here? That's gross. Stop being gross. Stop being weird. You're not a kid anymore. Yeah. Well, that's why I've been just playing game. I've just been playing games, like old games. Probably my. I feel like my cutoff year of like games that I play, like for myself, probably 2016. I don't think I don't think I go after games that's been made past 2016. Like that. Like that's it for me. With a few exceptions, Bomb Rush Cyberpunk was is my exception. I like that game. I remember paying the entire $40. I 100% completed that game. Well, I got all of the achievements of that game. I didn't 100% complete it. I got all of the achievements of that game. I think I clocked in 40 hours. Like that's like that. I feel like that was the only game that would actually like pay money for. I actually paid money for full price because I just wanted another Jet Set Radio type game. You know what I'm saying? And then, yeah, that's the thing. I played it because I wanted to experience Jet Set Radio again, like an evolution of Jet Set Radio. And plus, it's one of the rare cases where they took what was before, and let's be honest, Jet Set Radio is just it's a rough game. It's a rough game, gameplay wise. It's really rough, but it is one of those things where it is style over substance, and it took me becoming an adult to realize that it is a style over substance game, and it's fine. I like it a lot, but Bomb Rush Cyberpunk Funk took what it was, and I remember reading, oh not reading, but I remember watching an interview of it, and the director was like, yeah, we just wanted to make something purely fun, like we wanted to make something purely fun and easy, like the Tony Hawk games, or something purely fun like the Tony Hawk games, and make something easy that'll make you want to like keep playing it, right? Because that was like I remember that was the main problem with Bomb Rush Cyberpunk. It was just too easy to rack up combos. And I remember the director's response with that criticism is the whole game is an advertisement for you to go outside and skate, for you to go outside, go to your local skate park, and do it. If you want to see, if you want to do a really cool trick, go outside and do it yourself. If you want if you want a challenge, then go outside and do it for real. Go outside and dance for real. Go outside and do art for real. If you want a challenge, don't go for a video game. I love that philosophy. If you don't look for video games for a challenge. Video games is where you have fun. If you want to be challenged, go outside and do it in real life. I absolutely love that idea to death. You know what I mean? Like if you want connection, if you want to have fun, if not have fun, but like the game is to have fun as well. If you want like a challenge, if you want to have that connection with other people, you want to express yourself, then go outside. And of course, the Bomb Rush Cyberpunk community just spit on that idea, and they just made mods to make the game harder and add a multiplayer aspect of it and mod their own characters and X, Y, and Z. Like, like it's so funny, like watching that documentary of like what the director wanted Bomb Rush Cyberpunk to represent, and then when you see the modding community, they just spit on it. And I'm like, yeah, it'd be like that. The modding community is the death of the author in real time. Also, the creator took the damage physics and game design like kids game to make Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Wait, what game are you talking about? That they used to use that stuff to make. Are you talking about the what's his name? Cow, KO the Tasmanian Devil. Like it was like KO. It was like some Australian game, right? Yeah, I think I've seen that. Yeah, KO, the second one. Okay. Yeah, I've seen that video. I just haven't finished it. I want to know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, I'm drawing this thing and I just got reminded of I was on Twitter and I saw that Saturday AM that comic company they're make like they've made a fighting game, and it's so funny how I am seeing people on Twitter just saying going like stop calling yourself manga. Just stop calling yourself it's like I feel like we've gone past that era. That was an era where people. Oh my god, I'm so glad the manga era is over with. I feel like I really feel like it's over with. Because I remember there was a time where people wouldn't pay it. People, creators felt like they wouldn't pay attention to you unless you said you were making manga. I don't know if it's still like that because I'm just out of the entire field. I'm just out of the community. I'm just doing my own thing. I'm done trying to help other people. I'm trying to help myself first and foremost. But it's so funny seeing the comment section or just the retweets that I'm getting from it. Just people saying like, "Dude, this isn't just stop calling it manga. It's over. Relax." And I'm over here like, yeah, that's pretty funny. It is pretty cringe. That everybody just wanted to just ape off of that terminology, or they want to make their own terminology. But it's like, come on, guy. Okay, can we all stop acting like we're Japanese now? Can we all stop acting like we're not doing what we're doing to an audience that really just don't care? Cool. Like I did it. I thought people would care. They don't. Nobody cares about independent stuff. Gotta play the game differently. Doesn't matter what you put the. It doesn't really matter what you call it. Or what you try to rename it to. People are just going to call it, see it as they see it. It reminds me of what the author of the Wild Things Are said about what he made. He said like I don't make children's books. I just make books and people say this is for kids. And he's like, well, okay. I believe that was like the author of the Where the Wild Things Are. I just remember hearing that and I was like, that's so real. Like I just make it. I just make things, and people say this is for kids. There we go. There we go. I should try to draw some people. Like around 5 people. Well, two, 3 people would be fine. Maybe five. Just for the crowd behind Travis and Ali. Man, I just really, I'm just really proud of it. Proud of this panel. Like it doesn't make sense. I don't think this ever makes. I don't think this pose ever makes sense to act it out in real life because his left foot is in between. It's like it goes. It's like underneath his legs, and he's still doing like the twist. Like he's probably like it looks like he's punching his gut, or it looks like he's punching his gut. Where it would or where it should look, he probably should be punching his side, his ribs, or something like that. But it looks cool. I think it just looks cool. I, No, that's fine. This is fine. Oh wait, no. Oh, what I have fine. What I have now is good. But maybe, I mean, this is okay. So this feels more like a punch him in the gut. Maybe you can have the fist over here. I feel like that's too. We just tries to push him over, push him off. Nah, could be like I'm trying to back up. Kind of feels like, you know what this kind of feels like to me? It feels like a Robert Valley drawing. I pushed some of the landmarks a little bit more. I mean, what I have is fine already. See if I. I mean, the effect isn't that different. I'll get better next time. Actually, No, I don't like it. Yeah. What time am I on? What time am I on? Almost 2 whole hours, huh? Is it? Eh. Thinking about stopping right now. I feel like this is a good place. Oop, da, nope, 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 nope. Yeah, I feel like this is a good place to stop. Anyway, appreciate everybody for coming out, talking. Like, cool. Uh, well, mostly you, am I? Appreciate you coming out and talking as I work on this. Probably gonna step outside and stretch my legs as dusk settles tonight. I'm probably gonna spend the time playing 3D. Spend my night playing 3DS games. All right, check you later. Peace.